Welcome to Lecture Quiz 13, Micro and Macro Factors in Family Formation. We'll be focusing on two levels of analysis, micro and macro. Micro level factors are the personal, everyday decisions and interactions, like when someone decides to get married or have children. Macro level factors are the big picture forces, like economic trends, cultural norms, and government policies that shape these personal decisions. Before we dive into the examples, let's take a moment to understand what micro and macro perspectives are in sociology. Think of it like using a camera lens. Micro lens zooms in on the small scale, individual choices, relationship dynamics, and personal values. It helps us understand how people make decisions in their everyday lives. The macro lens zooms out to look at the big picture. Things like economic trends, cultural norms, government policies, and demographic shifts. These are the broader forces and these are the broader forces that shape what's possible or expected in society. We'll be using both lenses throughout the lesson and lecture to understand how families form and change over time. Let's look at the micro level first. It obviously, according to this list, goes about timing of marriage or cohabitation, fertility decisions, education and career goals, and relationship quality. Let's start with something many of you may already be thinking about: when or if to get married or move in with a partner. Timing is a big deal. Some people delay marriage until they feel financially stable, while others choose to cohabit during college or early adulthood to save money or test compatibility. Think about your own life and your friends. How many of you have heard someone say, "I'm not getting married until I finish school," or "we're living together to see how it goes"? These are micro-level decisions shaped by personal goals, relationship dynamics, and sometimes just convenience. But even though these choices feel personal, they're also shaped by broader trends like the rising cost of living or changing cultural norms around the marriage. We'll come back to that when we talk about macro. Now let's talk about fertility decisions, and that's whether or not or when to have children. This is another deeply personal decision that's influenced by a lot of micro-level factors: health, relationship stability, personal goals, and even fear of the unknown. For example, some people your age might already know they want kids someday, but not until they've traveled, built a career, or found the right partner. Others might be unsure if they want children at all. These decisions are often made quietly, but they reflect big questions about identity, values, and life priorities. And again, while they feel personal, they are also shaped by things like access to healthcare, education, and social expectations. Education and career goals are huge when it comes to family formation. Many people delay marriage or children because they want to finish school, get established in a career, or reach a certain level of financial independence. You might know someone who said, "I want to get my degree before I even think about kids." Or maybe you've thought that yourself. These are micro-level decisions that reflect ambition, planning, and sometimes anxiety about the future. It's important to recognize that these goals don't exist in that vacuum. They're still shaped by the pressure to succeed, student debt, and the belief that you need to, quote, "have it all together," end quote, before starting a family. Finally, let's talk about relationship quality. This might be the most obvious micro-level factor because who you're with and how that relationship feels plays a huge role in whether you move forward with marriage or family planning. Maybe you've seen a couple break up because they had different views on kids or money, or maybe you've seen a strong relationship where both people felt ready to take the next step. Trust, communication, shared values, these are all micro-level dynamics that shape family decisions. And while they are personal, they're also influenced by what we've learned from our families, media, and culture. Your first quiz question is, which of the following is an example of micro-level factor influencing family formation? Remember, micro-level factors involve individual or interpersonal decisions such as delaying children or education. Now let's move on to the macro level influences on family formation, which I've already alluded to. These include, but are not limited to, economic conditions, government policies, cultural shifts, technology, and of course, demographic trends. Let's talk about money because it matters. Economic conditions are a major macro level factor in family formation. When housing is expensive, wages are stagnant, or student debt is high, people often delay marriage or children, not because they don't want those things, but because they feel they can't afford them. Think about your own life or your friends. How many of you have said, I can't even afford a dog right now? Let's not talk about kids. That's a real reflection of how macro forces shape personal decisions. I notice the birds are getting loud. I hope it's not too distracting. I'm at my home getting this video ready. So let's talk about government policies specifically. They can either support or discourage family formation. In countries with paid parental leave and affordable childcare, people are more likely to start families earlier. In the United States, where those supports are limited, many delay or opt out entirely. Even things like student loan forgiveness or access to health care can make a huge difference. Again, these are macro level structures that shape what feels possible on a personal level. Cultural norms are powerful. They tell us what's normal or ideal, whether that's getting married by 30, having two kids, or following traditional gender roles. Media plays a big role here. Think about how families are portrayed in your favorite shows or on Instagram. These images can shape what we expect from ourselves and others, even if we don't realize it. Demographic trends are another macro level factor. In many countries, birth rates are falling and populations are aging. This creates pressure on younger generations to have more children, but also raises questions about who will care for the elderly. These trends affect everything from job markets to healthcare systems, and they shape how your generation might think about family, responsibility, and the future. Your next quiz question is, which of the following is an example of macro level factor influencing family formation? Remember that macro level factors include structural or societal influences like government policies, economic trends, and cultural norms. Paid parental leave is a policy level influence that can shape family decisions across a population. As I'm sure is pretty evident, micro and macro levels are interconnected. Macro structures shape micro choices, and micro behaviors can influence macro trends over time. Here on the right-hand side, there is a nice graph about levels of analysis, specifically in sociology, where the top is the macro level analysis from society, culture, social institutions, even social inequality, to micro level analysis of groups, roles, socialization, interactions, and self. This question is, how might macro and micro factors interact in shaping a person's decision to start a family? This reflects the interplay between personal desires and structural constraints, a key theme in this lecture. This question is actually your attendance question, so I wanted to give it to you anyway so you can think ahead. It is a short answer question, and it's about the micro, the macro, and you. You are to think about your own future intentions around family, whether that includes marriage, cohabitation, parenting, or remaining single, and identify at least one micro level factor and one macro level factor that might influence your decisions, and then briefly explain how these two levels might interact in your life. For example, how might a person desire to have children be shaped or delayed by broader economic or social conditions? All right, so let's go ahead and do a little wrap up and discuss a quick look at the major sociological theories that help us understand family formation. Symbolic interactionism is a micro level theory because it focuses on the meanings we attach to family and family roles, like what it means to be quote unquote a good parent or a partner. These meanings are shaped through everyday interaction and can vary widely across cultures and individuals. Conflict theory, however, is macro level as it highlights how inequality, especially in terms of wealth, race, and gender, affects access to family resources like housing, healthcare, and childcare. It reminds us that not everyone starts from the same place. Structural functionalism is also a macro level, but looks at it from a slightly different perspective because it sees the family as a stabilizing institution that performs essential functions for society, like socializing children and providing emotional support. I'll see you more in class. Have a good day.